further than Justin. He's come all the way from Arizona. So how many miles? 600? I don't really know. We don't know. It's further away, and in a couple of weeks he's going to be a time zone away. Because you don't do daylight saving. Yeah, so that's how far it's from. Is it tomorrow?
Tonight.
Oh my gosh.
Tomorrow I will be a time zone away.
No, you're wrong. No. In California it happens in November. Right? It's the first Saturday of November time change in California.
I thought it's tomorrow.
No, tomorrow is the day that you don't switch. I don't know. You're not switching either way. So yeah, I think it's the first Saturday of November. So yeah, that's how far away he came from. A time zone away. Okay. He's I'll say an award-winning author.
Okay.
He is an author of an Android book, and I gave it an award, so he's an award-winning author. He's so famous that at I/O this year they actually had him sign his books. Yes, and the line was humongous. They ran out of books. So we are very fortunate to have him here with us today. In fact, I recently ordered a copy of your book, so I was hoping to get it in time for the event so you could sign it, but I didn't get it in time. So we'll find a way. I'll fly out to you and get it signed and come back. So soon, Paul, are they still going? They are still going.
I'm just going.
Okay, we're just going to start, and they're lost. Okay. So again, no talk there. That one's wrapping up. We're going to have the member app in the back. After this, we'll have a short break, and then we'll start looking at any hackathon results. Okay, so take it away, Mike.
Okay, thanks. I'm going to talk without a microphone.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me good?
Yeah.
I'm pretty loud, so I don't think I need that, and then I can walk around. Okay, so I'm Mike Wolfson. I am going to talk a little bit about Android and the material design support libraries. So the first thing I wanted to mention is I have this GitHub repo. I've created this project to demonstrate all the various things that I'm going to demonstrate here. And with material design, it really kind of helps to be able to play and do the things that you want to do with the app itself. So I just wanted to mention on my GitHub, at that link, I've actually uploaded the APK of this example. So if you want to download it right now and play with it as I'm demoing, it may be helpful to you so you can play with what I'm showing you. Otherwise, I'll have videos and show it within the presentation itself. But it really helps to kind of play. So I'll leave that up for a second more. And of course, I'll leave this link. I will also mention I wrote a presentation. I wrote an example app to back the presentation. So everything you see here is all duplicated at this GitHub. All the code examples, it all works. It's all there. So if you want to go listen to something else, all the code is there, and you could probably skip this presentation other than my witty banter. That you cannot get on GitHub. Okay, so real quick, just want to tell you what we're going to talk about today, and the point of this presentation is using the Android support libraries is the quickest way to achieve material design on Android. So we'll get into what this means, but bottom line is if you want to get material, and you do on Android, the support libraries will be the quickest and easiest way to get there. Okay, a little bit about me. We've already talked about it. I am an Android developer. I've been doing it pretty much since Android came out, which really is only about 7 years. It was something I was passionate about. I did for fun, then I turned into a profession. I wrote a book about the Android developer tools, and then I am also a Google developer expert in Android. So that's why I'm here, is Google developer experts travel around the world, talk about stuff we're passionate about. And so this is something I'm passionate about. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about me, so let's talk about why you guys are here and why you really should be paying attention to this stuff. First, most important thing with Android is if you want to get your app featured in the Play Store, and that's really important, that's basically the only way that your app gets visibility, it needs to be material design. It needs to match the design specifications that Google has mandated, or you'll never see the light of day in the Play Store. Very, very important. Be lazy, right? This stuff is hard. Getting these design specs correct and getting all the color theming and all those things working is hard. we don't want to do it ourselves, use the support libraries and all the magic happens for you. And I'm going to show you how that happens. And then the last, and this may be the most important thing, it needs to look right on Android. Android has a very specific user interface design. It's not iOS, it's not Windows Mobile, it's Android. Make sure that it matches what it's supposed to look like. And that means it matches the design specs. And that means it's going to match and look good on the phone. It's going to feel like it is meant to be there. Okay, so I hope you guys have heard about material design. I just wanted to briefly explain what it is. Material design was introduced 2 years ago, and it is a new design language that Google has proposed for Android and the web. It's a very comprehensive design language that has a ton of different specifications with all sorts of stuff. Really important that every developer understands what this is. And it's really important to Google, so important that it has its own top-level domain at google.com/design. So visit this website and learn a little bit about it. It's extremely comprehensive and a really great resource. So if you don't do anything else but visit that website and learn about material design, you'll be way ahead of the game. Okay, so let's talk about once you do visit that website, what you're going to get once you go there. First thing is you'll find lots of information about styles. Styles include colors and metrics, typography, how stuff is supposed to look, how stuff is spaced, all those things. It is covered ad nauseum on the website, and I'll show you some examples of how we are going to make use of those specifications in a really good way. So, interaction patterns, right? So things like the fab or how views swipe between views or your navigation patterns. These are all defined on the specification and should be followed. They define a ton of different navigation patterns that are designed to create a comprehensive navigation view on Android, right? So they're trying to define these navigation patterns for the phone itself or for the OS itself so that your app navigates the same as every other app on the phone. This is designed to create this comprehensive ecosystem where all the apps feel like they are designed and built to run on the same platform. And that's what these specifications design are intended to do. They're intended to inform the developer how to make sure that their apps fit within this design. Last thing, they define a lot of components, different views and different components you should use for different things. So we'll talk about that as well in a moment. Okay, so I wanted to show one example on specifications and talk a little bit about what the specification gives us and then how that's applied to Android using the support libraries. So one of the cool things that the design spec gives us is a variety of colors. So the awesome designers at Google have spent hours and hours and hours defining a bunch of different color palettes. So they've given us, I think there's 16 different colors, blue, pink, etc. And then 10 shades of colors within that, lighter to darker. So these are the colors we're supposed to use, just these ones. There's lots of colors in the color wheel, but they've given us a very specific set of colors. It's pretty, there's a lot of different variation there, but it's really important that we stick with these colors. So what I do is I actually have implemented, and in this code base you'll see it, I've implemented in the colors.xml file all those colors so that I can just reference them directly. Like you see, oh, it's not going to show up on that screen. Indigo 50. So I know I'm referencing that color directly from the specification. Okay, so let's talk about, once we have the colors defined, let's talk about something else that's in the material design spec. And that's this concept of primary dark, and accent colors. So the material design spec specifies that we use these different colors. So basically 3 different colors for our user interface. Dark color, which is kind of just an accent color, primary color, and then this accent color, which should be used throughout the system for accents or whatever. It doesn't really matter why there's 3 colors, but there is. So as designers and developers, we want to pick those 3 colors. Then what we can do using the AppCompat libraries is we can actually just define those 3 colors in our style. And those colors will universally be applied throughout our whole app. So not only our app, but also the system itself now becomes colored with the theme of our colors that we defined. Really powerful. So previously, how we had to do this was the designers would pick a color palette, and then we'd go through our views and apply those colors to each view independently, and style color every view. This is all done for us now automatically, and all we have to do is define those 3 colors in our style, and the system is going to universally apply those everywhere. Really, really powerful and really easy, right? We're not now applying our style per view. It's just been done for us in one place. So lazy and correct. So let's look at how this would look on the actual app. So as you see, I have created my style with blues. Blue theme and then a yellow accent color. Blue, blue, yellow. So then I run the app and the colors are all automatically created for me. This just comes out like that. So if I wanted to change it to another color, it's really simple. All I do is change the colors, and the app itself will automatically be themed correctly. So you can see how drastically different those two are, and that theming is applied universally. So that's really, really powerful. Again, these controls that are going to be colored are all support library controls. We'll talk about that in a moment. So that's a really simple example of how we can now start using some of these automatic features to really apply some really awesome design. Another really good example is typography I mentioned. So Material Design Specs have actually created a series of typography standards. So similar to HTML, where we have header 1, header 2, header 3. Those styles are now defined for us, so we have this standard set of typography that we can use for different things. Cool thing is we actually now have in the AppCompat library and in the regular library, we actually now have references that we can use directly to reference those typographies. So you can now just apply a style to your text, use one of these styles, and you know that your appearance, your text appearance is now styled appropriately to this material standard, right? We know that we're using the medium type body for body 2. So really useful. Otherwise, how we used to have to do this is we would define our own font styles and then have to, on each text view, have to set the size in SP or whatever. And then it wouldn't necessarily match the system UI, which is, again, really important. We want to make sure that our apps fit and look like they're supposed to and match every other app on the platform. Okay, so I've shown you some of the simple things you can do with the support libraries. There are 2 simple examples. Now let's take a step back and talk about how you can actually use these libraries and what they actually are. So if you want to use these libraries, it's just a simple Gradle dependency. It's worth mentioning that there are kind of 2 flavors of support libraries. The first is AppCompat. What AppCompat is it is a shim layer that's designed to allow us to use new features on older versions of Android. So the intention of the support library is to allow us to backport newer features of the OS and use them on older versions of Android. So this library actually works all the way back to API 7, which is I think 2.1. So anything I'm showing you here will work on basically any version of Android that we're supporting now. I mean, in fact, most people don't even support back to 2.3. So the AppCompat library itself is this shim library. It's designed to create these functionalities that we can call in older versions of Android. So that's what AppCompat is. If you want to use any of these things, that's kind of your base library. You need to add that. And then you'll add other features that you want to use on top of the AppCompat library. And they're broken out into specific things like RecyclerView or CardView. So you add the AppCompat, and then you would add all the different feature libraries as dependencies when you need those. One thing I will mention is the versioning of the libraries is all consistent. So if a new version of AppCompat is released, they will release new versions of all the other libraries so that the number schemes are the same. So in other words, you'll notice I'm using version 22.2.1 of the AppCompat library. I should also be using that same version universally for my other libraries. Even if there are not feature releases in the new libraries, those numbering schemes will all be consistent. And that link on the bottom tells you a little shortcut on how you can short circuit that in code to just make it a little easier in your Gradle file. But just keep in mind, keep those numbers consistent and you should be good. Okay, so we added the dependency. You'll also need in your XML files, you need to add this additional namespace. This is the XML namespace that allows you to reference the different attributes in XML. So those two things. And the third thing is we need to extend a different activity base. So we used to have this action bar activity, which was our base activity before the new support libraries came out. They have deprecated that, and now AppCompat activity is the new base class. Important to note, if you want to use any of these features, you have to extend this base class. So three things: add your dependency, add the XML attribute, and add this extends to use all this stuff. Once you've done that, you're ready to go, and you can start to use all these cool features that we're about to dig into. Okay, so I'm going to now dig into some of the different features of the libraries, and we'll just kind of show you what some of these things do and the coding involved and that sort of thing. So let's start first with AppCompat. We mentioned this is that shim provider that allows us to use all these different features retroactively. First thing I showed you was that the support library now will automatically tint our different resources based on that color scheme that we showed you at the very beginning. So you'll notice that all of my different accents are automatically yellow. So that just comes automatically from the system, and that's pretty powerful. So AppCompat will theme all the controls in the views universally. So you can see how powerful that is, how that really provides a sense of theme and stuff throughout the app. So that comes all automatically. And these are all the different controls that are tint aware. So that's the tint aware buttons. The next really cool library is called Palette. So what this allows you to do is this allows you to send any bitmap into the palette, and it will return you a palette of colors that are representative of that image. So basically what you'll see here is it looked at this image and then it pulled out each of these different colors so that then I can use those universally for myself. So let me show you an example of how I've used that and how it becomes pretty important or useful to me. So so you notice this cupcake API lettering right here. The default system color for that is white. So if I left that default color, that text wouldn't show up anywhere. So I'm actually setting that text color to vibrant. So let's see what automatically when I pick a different image, it will go look at that image, pick the vibrant color, and then set that on that text, right? So I'm now able to make my text tint aware, color aware based on the particular image that's showing on the screen. Super cool stuff, and again, it works on all versions of Android, so that's Palette, really cool, really powerful. If you want some more information about that, it's contained here at that URL. Sure.
Are we going to have these slides after?
Yeah, the slides are already out. Yes.
Thank you.
I don't know if you took a picture of the first screen.
I think the GitHub one.
Okay. First screen had the slide link, but the last screen does too. So,
Thank you.
question was, are we going to have the slides available? The answer is yes. Other important thing is, all the code is in GitHub. And that's probably a better way to run all this stuff, right? Because it all just magically works. Okay, so RecyclerView. So how many of you guys are Android developers and are really familiar with list view? Awesome. So there's good news and bad news. If you're familiar with list view, some of the patterns are the same. Bad news is the RecyclerView is really not like the list view at all. It shares some of the same kind of lineage, but it's a completely different control. What it is it's an advanced list view that allows us to do a lot of things that the old one couldn't. Let me just show you what. So the sort of things it allows us to do that the old list view couldn't is it allows us to animate when we add something to the list. That was really hard to do before. And it also, previous list view had one layout, and that is linear layout orientation, top to bottom. A lot of people wanted a horizontal list view in each of those, but I'm using a RecyclerView and then a different layout manager. So the way RecyclerView works, and this may be a little bit more detail than we need to go into, but RecyclerView takes a layout manager. Layout manager tells the RecyclerView how to lay out its information, and you can customize the layout manager to do pretty much anything. So it comes with 3 standard layout managers: linear, grid view, and staggered. So I actually have each of those, and you'll see when I cycle through this list, you'll see that there's different layouts. So that's a grid, and then that's a staggered. So you see how on the staggered there's 1 line above the top and then 2 down below. So that's the important thing to note is the data here is all the same, and the RecyclerView itself is all the same. All I've done is tell it to lay out its contents in a different way. It's really powerful, the RecyclerView layout manager. Yes, we already probably talked through this. I should have. So we talked about layout managers. The other thing that's worth mentioning is item decorators. So if you want to put a shadow or something around each of your items, including animating it in, animating it out, or different things, you can do that with this thing called an item decorator, which then allows you to kind of, I guess, decorate your item with some sort of visual element. The important thing to know about RecyclerView is it's really powerful, but it's quite a bit different than the list view. So if you have a need for some of these advanced features, then I would update your list views to RecyclerViews. But if you don't, I wouldn't go through the hassle. It's a hassle. It's a little bit of a hassle. It's just with great power comes great responsibility. Because you have all these things that you can do, it just makes it more difficult, right? Like, for instance, on a list view, if you wanted to add a divider between your items, there was just an attribute. You could just add it. For the RecyclerView, you have to create an item decorator that goes and adds that, and that is a whole different class. So it's more effort, but other things are much simpler, like animating the addition of an item to the top of the list, which was pretty much near impossible with the list view. Now comes just automatic. So it's a trade-off. If you're writing a new greenfield, then start with RecyclerView for sure. The extra effort will pay off in the long run, but it's probably not worth going back and remodeling your existing ones. Okay, and then the last library I want to talk about out of the AppCompat class is this CardView. So what this allows us to do is this allows us to just simply add a wrapper around any of our views that will allow us to now specify something I didn't mention, but it's worth mentioning with material design. One of the major new elements of material design is, in addition to an X and a Y axis, they've added a Z axis, which is elevation off the screen. So this allows us to add both real-time shadows and real-time lighting effects to add 3 dimensions to our user interface. So this is an important aspect of material design. And this card view allows us to wrap any other view in a card and then we can specify elevation. So that's pretty powerful because, again, this gives us that ability to create this Z element and this natural elevation. So this CardView allows us to do that. Let's look real quick on what this looks like because I thought it's kind of pretty interesting. So one thing I'll mention with the support library is the way it works is if you're on a device that supports the feature, it will go to the native version of that. So I'm on Lollipop and my code calls the support library. Because I'm on Lollipop, the support library will fall through to the native implementation, right? It knows that we can do it natively, so it's not going to use the support version. The reason I mention that is because I want to show how the CardView looks like, how the CardView looks like coming from the native. So this is on a Moto X running Lollipop versus on a older version running Froyo. The way that the system generates those shadows and lighting effects is different, but they look pretty much the same. So I kind of wanted to put those next to each other because just so you get an idea that visually they're very, very similar. Apparently this one is much better though. I can't tell the difference. There's
the favorites and
yeah. So really powerful CardView. Again, this is something we could have done previously, but it just didn't look as nice, and it wouldn't look the same on developer to developer because each developer is doing things differently. Okay, so that's kind of the base libraries. Now I wanted to talk about, so this was released 2 years ago at Google I/O. This year at Google I/O, they released a follow-on to the support libraries called the design support libraries. So this is actually taking some of the basic things we just saw to actually the next level, right? This is a whole nother level of implementing the material design, but giving us the tools to be able to do it instead of just the specifications. So a really important one, and I think this is a really nice example to go through, is the navigation view. So this is the side navigation that we're all very used to on apps, right? You press a button at the top and a bar slides out that gives you different things. So that has not been traditionally implemented the same across apps. Everybody does something different in that nav view, and this is a core navigation pattern, right? So Google has created a navigation pattern for us to follow so that we're using that, and then that drives this navigation paradigm that is similar across apps. This was specifically designed to get rid of everybody doing their own thing in that sidebar. So let's take a little look real quick at the specification. And then I kind of want to talk a little bit about the specification and how we use the support libraries to implement this correctly. So this is the specification for the nav bar on the design specs. You see it's got lots of detail in there. All sorts of different things down to the very nuanced detail. How many pixels a icon should be from the side, and then how many pixels this line should be from that. So that's a lot, right? And if we wanted, and I just want to be clear, we want to look exactly like this. That's really important. If we wanted to do this ourselves, it would be really hard, right? Get a developer looking at this spec, trying to figure out how to lay everything out in exactly the way it's supposed to be. It would be really, really hard. But the nice thing is, the material design spec has actually given us this navigation control, and we don't actually have to create anything anymore. It's all done for us automatically. This control is created from scratch. All you have to do is define the items, the menu items that you want in that nav view, and it's going to do all the rest. So this should be really familiar to anybody that's done action bar development, because this is the same sort of paradigm where you create your menu file, and then it's applied to your action bar. Same paradigm. So let's look at how this would look. So I have a home button, device button, favorites button, and then I define icons and a title, right? Really simple, not much there. So let's look at how that actually translates to the nav bar. So it creates all my buttons and the whole nav bar for me, including, you'll notice that when this is selected, the icon and the text change color. I guess the icon and the text change color. That's really important. All this is done for me automatically. So, so you'll see when I select an item in the nav bar, the touch feedback is highlighted and the color is all done for me. That's all done by magic. So again, all I did was define the XML, and that control is created for me. And the cool thing about that control is I know that the icon is 16 dp from the side, and the main key line is 72 dp from the side. And I don't have to even wonder if it's that way. I know because they did it for me. So really simple example of how something that would be really hard to get right is really, really easy with these tools that they've given us. So a question that comes up constantly regarding NavView is, how do I customize to put this in that? No. You don't customize it. No, no, no. Don't. The whole point of the nav bar is to keep this navigation consistent. So the answer is it's really difficult. There is no way to customize the nav view, with the exception of this area here. That top area can be used for whatever you want. Bottom line is, this is not supposed to be customized. This is a navigation and a core design navigation of the OS. So don't mess with that. Just leave it like it is. Same goes for the action bar, right? They're trying to drive these navigation patterns, and they want to keep them consistent across the OS, right? So app to app, you know when you hit that side nav bar, you know what to expect, how it's going to allow you to navigate the app, all that sort of stuff. So that's what their goal is with this material design, is to get everything consistent. Okay, so I wanted to touch on just a few different widgets that are included. So these are different controls that we can use, but that are really powerful and really fun and really easy to implement. So I want to show this text input layout. Basically, this is an animated layout where when you type in one of the fields, the title animates out, your hint text changes, and then also there is a invalid warning label. Really cool animations, right? And really useful for the user. Again, that's all included for me by default. All I need to do is include this text input layout, this new widget that is included in the OS, and that magic of all that animation just happens for me. So not only is that animation really fun for the user, it's visually pleasing, it's also just very useful. Like, it's a great UI paradigm to allow those hints to come and go and all that stuff. So really cool control. And so two things. It's a really cool control. It looks really nice. It's really fun. So it adds a lot of interest to your app. The other thing is it's material design, right? And we all need to get material design. So you get this really nice, fun feature in addition to being material, which is what we all need to be. We talked about that before. Okay, a fab. So we all know, we should know what a fab is. It's that circle on the button that is, this is called a featured action button. So Android wants you to have one main feature on your app and use this button to highlight that. So this was a control that we never had for a long time. When they first introduced material design, they defined this fab specification, but they didn't give us a control. And it turns out that that's really hard to do, to create a circle that has a good shadow behind it. So it's really awesome that we have this. But what I want to show, I'm not sure if I show it here or on the next slide. We'll come back to it in a second. This fab actually now works within, we'll get to that in a second actually. We'll come back to the fab in a second. But anyway, we have a fab now, which is just this simple control we can put anywhere. And in a second, I'll show you how this fab is actually even cooler than just a circle with a background. The other thing I want to mention is this thing called the snack bar. This is like a little informational item at the bottom. So this replaced toasts, which we used before, but have now become kind of a passé. It's really the same sort of paradigm, flash up a message to your user. This one allows you to have a few different paradigms. You can leave it up. You can leave it up for a short or a long period of time. And then they also allow you just one action button on a snack bar. The other thing to mention is that you can slide those away. Okay, what I wanted to show here was two things. Alert dialogues. So there is a material design alert dialogue. So you can use this and it will style your alerts to match material design. That's pretty cool. Nothing too like life-shattering. And then there's also this SwitchCompat button, which is animated. I guess I don't have it animated, but I'll just show you real quick what it looks like. It's just a really nicely animated button that gives the user feedback when they do something. So, and you see how nice that animates. Also includes our accent color, all that stuff. So that's just magic again, right? But again, super nice, right? We see that animation, we see that color changing. That's a really nice user experience. And we get it for free. So it's no different than using any switch. Okay, so I mentioned a moment ago, I kind of gave a preview about the fab and some new cool stuff that the fab does. So there's something called a coordinator layout. This is new in the design library. This is a little bit complicated to explain, so stick with me for a second. Basically what this did is this created a view container where items within the view container are now able to scroll in unison with each other. So we now have a lot of different scroll abilities within the view that we didn't have before that provide a lot of really valuable information. So, or really good feedback. So I want to show you how this works with the fab, and I'll show you two different examples. So on this one, I have the fab on the bottom of the screen. And when I put the snack bar up, remember that snack bar we just talked about? The fab is going to scroll out of the way because it's aware that of the snack bar. So it's going to scroll out of the way when the snack bar scrolls in. So let me just show you that. So you see that, how it scrolls out? I mean, that's not like a super amazing demo or anything, but the fact that those two components are aware of each other is really powerful. So that's kind of a simple example, but I want to show another example with the fab. And in this case, I have the fab attached to this. I have the fab attached to my action bar. This is a new type of action bar we'll get into in a second. So when I scroll the action bar, the fab's going to scroll with it. So let's show you that. Oops. Sorry. Let me get back and I will start that again. Okay, you can see it. So you see how that fab scrolls with the action bar? Actually, something else to mention. So it not only does it scroll with the action bar, but once this view goes out of view, the fab will go out of view also. So just let's watch that again. So again, really powerful stuff, right? We're now have multiple views that are communicating to each other and scrolling in unison, and we didn't have to do much. I think I do have the code examples, great. So I want to show you how I tied those different things together. First of all, the fab is always aware of the snack bar, so I didn't have to do anything there. That magic just happened. It knows about the snack bar, and it's going to get out of the way automatically. For this example, all I had to do was anchor my fab to a particular view, and that ties those together. So really cool, right? Not only can I attach a view to another thing, I can actually then allow this view control to kind of happen along with it. Here's a good example if you want to look into understanding the coordinator layout a little more. The important thing to know is a lot of these controls, the coordinator controls, kind of just come automatically. You can override them, of course, because this is Android. You can do anything you want, always. For the most part, this just happens magically. You don't have to do a whole lot. If you want to create some really complex things, you can do that too. Okay, so I mentioned in that last view that the coordinator layout kind of was showing off this new app bar. So this is new in Android, and basically what this is that's this section up here that is our like top anchoring bar. And you'll notice that this also has a bunch of different nuanced UI controls in it. So when I scroll up, it's going to collapse this image into my toolbar, which is just a solid color. This text is going to animate into my toolbar, and the scroll will be both parallax and fade out. I know that's a lot to think about, but I just want to highlight all those things that are happening. We'll show it, and it doesn't look as complicated as that, but there's a lot going on there when I collapse those views. Right, you see the parallax, you see the text animating, you see that all comes automatically for me. I'm not doing any of that parallaxing, any of that scroll control, anything. All I had to do was define my this new app bar layout, and I get all this magic automatically. And again, super useful, super great user interface experience there, right? When the user, you put this nice hero image at the top of your article, and then when the user's scrolling to read the article, the hero image collapses away, right? We don't need that anymore. It becomes superfluous. Super useful user interface, and not only is it beautiful, but I don't have to do anything. It does this all automatically for me. So let's just look at that again. So that's really, really cool. All right, and then just one last thing I wanted to mention. I wrote this talk before the Support Lib 23 came out. Current version of the Support Library is 23.0.1. In 23.0.1, they introduced something called the percent relative layout, which is pretty cool. So this allows you to actually specify, instead of absolute or pixels, you can now actually specify a percentage of how you want your view to lay out, and it will calculate and apply those percentages universally. So if you guys have done any design work, you'll know that this is something designers are always asking for. So this is a really simple example, but I think you can see how that works. Okay, so that is it. I hope I just showed you that using the support libraries is the easiest way to achieve material design. So slides are there, and the GitHub is, that code is complete up at GitHub. It's all been reviewed, so feel free to steal and copy and use for yourself. So.
Good. Any questions? Questions, comments? Yep.
I have a little to do with our fragments still used.
Yes.
So is the AppCompat activity like kind of used fragment activity still? Or?
It's the base for that.
Okay, so it still has all the fragments.
Yeah, so you could use fragment activity before, but AppCompat activity does support fragments in its core. So yes, I still use fragments pretty much universally. Even if I have a single view, I will still create a fragment and an activity container for that, even if it's going to be the only view inside of that container.
Okay, cool.
But that's just my opinion, and fragments
I
is
think I did that too. So.
it's a contentious discussion a little bit.
Everything's fragments for me too.
I use fragments, and I have enjoyed the flexibility. So.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Will you send me your deck so I can upload it?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So we have been trying to upload the slides to the DevFest site, and once we process all the videos, we'll try to get the links on there too. So I know some people said that they had friends that couldn't buy tickets, we sold out, so it will be all online. Okay? No problem. I think the hackathon is still going. We'll give them a little more time, but we'll give them a warning that they kind of need to be done in 15 minutes. And at that point, we will have them come over here and present anything that they want to present. And based on that, we can give out some prizes, and then we'll do the raffle for the big prize. And then we have some smaller stuff to raffle off also, just like the normal wheel that we do. For those of you that come, we often will do a little wheel. So we'll do that too. And yeah, so let's take a little break. Restrooms over there. There's still plenty of water inside and out. Got a lot of water. Yeah, I'll go warn the hackathon people.